love to ask you, why is depression among teens, those are teenagers and youthful people today, on a rise?
Okay, thank you very much, Hilary. A very good afternoon to you all. Now, as a student, as a son, as a teenager, I have to admit that depression and anxiety at any one point, we have to deal with these things in life, okay? But then it becomes a kind of challenge when way above 25% of an entire generation is suffering from extreme anxiety and depression disorders, according to the National Institute of Mental Health and all these other things. So the big question when we are dealing with stress and we are dealing with anxiety is one's ability to cope with it. And that's something that we are consistently lacking, or even in our preparation as children, as youth, it is declining. The way we are prepared to deal with this in life. Why? Starting off with where Jordan ended off, that we are a dot-com generation. Today we have a generation of kids who are going to be more worried about, let's say, how many likes their Instagram photos are getting than they would be worried about whether Peter decided not to play with them or not. Now, bring this back into context of anxiety and self-worth. Now, you see, as you grow, your mind works the way the immunity does. You see, when you're exposed to stress in certain levels, you learn to cope with it. When it is too much, you break down. When you're not exposed to it, when it finally comes, it hits you hard. So the access of technology, in that we are so focused on our phones and all the trends than dealing with each other, it happens that we are isolated from such influences, such situations, which would help us deal with these things better when we come to find out about them. So the very effect of technology, phones and social media on the youth, in that it isolates us from some of these influences, in itself it's a reason as to why we are having anxiety and depression rising. Because as youth, we do not know how to cope with some situations. So for example, when someone is rejected, let's say you've been applying for a job and you're rejected, you try to tie this to your self-worth. And that depresses you. And where does that come from? A child who could cope with Peter not playing with him will not be as depressed as you are because you've not grown up in the same situation. So that kind of correlation from the very upbringing of children is one of the reasons as to why we have anxiety and depression rising up, because we are simply not prepared to deal with it. Secondly, when it comes to mental health services, such as counseling, you know, in places such as schools, even in hospitals, we must admit they are not as developed or tailor-suited for the youth as they should be. Because you find that when a person is talking about maybe getting counseling or going for therapy, the first thing that jumps into people's minds is your child on drugs, or what's wrong with your child? We haven't come to the point of admitting that it is actually normal in the biggest extent that a person can go and seek therapy or seek counseling. We still have this kind of perception that it is for people with deep, deep troubles, but we forget that these troubles start even from the smallest point. So first of all, we do not have enough access to such services. And even in cases where we do, our mentality, our attitude to them is rather negative. So we have a generation of young people who are even scared to seek out help because I don't want to appear weak. In terms of you know, the language we use today, small problems, and then we all crash down. We want to appear as what we call hard guys in the language of social media. So the fact that we are raised to look strong when we are not ready to admit that we need help is also one of the reasons as to why we are having anxiety and depression rising up among the youth. And going on thirdly, when it comes to parenting, when I talked about a child's mind being like a child's immunity or a person's immunity, coping also comes with, like I said, the exposure to certain situations. Now, when it comes to parenting, you find that in most cases, we have shifted from where a child is a child of the community to where it's the child of an individual, which in itself might not be a bad thing. But then there come two instances. One, The parents of a child might be overprotective, that they want to protect their child from all these things that they feel could hurt them so much that when they are finally ready to get into the real world, it hits them hard. So you find that a child has grown up, let us say, you've grown up in an environment, in a situation, as I conclude, in a situation whereby your parents have prepared everything to be perfect for you. So when you reach in an environment like university where I am, where you are free, it hits you hard. Then in other instances where you find that we have absent parents, whereby they are also like not involved in the interests, in the desires, in the dreams and plans of their children, whereby when I've paid school fees, that is enough. And their child has not been raised to deal with these situations. Of course, my time is up. So as I conclude, these are some of the reasons. They do not operate independently. They intertwine. So part of many reasons as to why we have the youth being depressed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mumbere.